everyone, and thanks for joining today. My name is Brittany Schultz, and I'm here with Andrew Farley. And today we're going to be showing you how IBM and IBM Z Log Data can supercharge your SIEM and AI Ops strategies. You'll see why legacy systems are often blind spots when it comes to observability and security, and how you can close that gap for better security, resilience, and automation. So today, modern IT teams are stretched as their environments become more complex every single day. Over half of IT professionals report things like tool overload, and research shows that teams are often operating, on average, over 70 ops tools at once, which can often lead to data silos across the enterprise and contribute to things like MTTR delays and ultimately a fragmented reactive approach when it comes to security and operations and observability. So, research in this area continues to further emphasize these challenges. Only about 2 out of 10 enterprises successfully say that they can intercept more than half of alerts and incidents that they receive. About 50% of total MTTR is spent waiting for things like answers, data, or responses from other teams. A little over half of IT ops professionals say that they have trouble keeping up with technology changes. And about a third of INO leaders rank technical debt as one of their threats and challenges facing their organization. So, all of these things together can make it really difficult for IT teams to do their jobs because a lot of the time they're tasked with closing these technical gaps or this technical debt within their companies, while at the same time being asked to prepare their IT environments for and then onboarding AI technologies. And even though these AI technologies are really new and exciting, legacy systems like IBM and IBM Z still are running some of the world's most critical applications. However, these legacy systems are often disconnected from modern platforms like Splunk, Elastic, or Kafka. And these blind spots can create real risk for companies. Data coming from the mainframe and IBMI systems can enable you to catch things like failed login attempts, change profile events, system value changes, and network misuse. As an example, one healthcare customer was actually flooded with SMF 119 records, and they feared that they were under attack. However, upon further discovery, it was showed that it was just an expired certification that was triggering alerts in their systems. Then on the operations and observability side, IBM system data can reveal details around things like capacity monitoring, CPU spikes, disk performance, job durations, and LPAR performance, among other things. Not having access to log data from these legacy systems can create hours of panic and wasted resources when really there was a simple problem with a simple solution. And this delay is only made worse when AI gets involved. So today, a lot of organizations don't really have their data AI ready, and they're really struggling to get there. Those at the beginning of their AI journey have very little automation and are often bogged down by things like manual processes, siloed data, and disparate tools. And ultimately, data that lives in sources that just don't feed into each other, things like phone call logs, emails, and spreadsheets. Often, the goal of incorporating AI tools and platforms is to reduce friction across an organization so that it can become more proactive in its operations and ultimately automate processes so that their teams can spend more time doing tasks that really require their full attention. We can see from this graphic that the change often happens in stages. So organizations move from reactive to responsive by increasing things like analysis and observability of their systems. Then they go from responsive to intelligent through things like proactive alerting, workflow driven remediation, intelligent root cause analysis, smart workflow assignments, and data consolidation and democratization. Then, of course, organizations want to move to the ideal state, which is going from intelligent to self healing. This final level is characterized by teams being able to do things like predict and prevent outages, have machine managed and self learning processes, provide a feedback loop to those systems so that they can optimize resource allocation, and ultimately enable faster IT adoption at scale. So imagine spotting a slow batch job before it can break down your SLA. Anomaly detection can make something like that possible. And more organizations are trying to get to this state of both using and succeeding with AI every single day. But before they can jump ahead to AI and automation, they first need to close the gap between this technology and that of the legacy systems. So this is where a tool like precisely IronStream can come in to help because it's built to help handle the challenges that are expected within these modern IT environments. If you move from one IT security, observability, or AI ops platform to another, not a problem. You can take all your IBM and IBM Z mainframe data with you. Combine and manage the data you need regardless of the platform you use. IronStream provides the ability to deliver more focused and relevant IBM data flows into your chosen platforms with advanced filtering capabilities and no IBM expertise required. So, how can you ensure success when you're incorporating IronStream into your environment? So, it starts with understanding what rich data is actually living in your legacy systems, and then how this data can then be used by your security and ops teams. So, for example, primary sources of information that are logged on an IBMI can include system audit journals, operator messages, or things like accounting journals. And then that data can be used to track things like invalid login attempts, command usage by specific users, and changes to system values or user profiles. And once you understand your legacy data, you want to have a plan for how that data will then inform your SIEM and AI ops platforms. You want to ask yourself questions like, what do I want or need to monitor? Am I looking at privileged users, access to failures, am I looking at customer data? Then you'll ask yourself, what will be my alert categories? Are alerts going to be around users, groups, or just the data itself? You'll want to see if you understand your business priorities. So, how do the needs of these platforms tie into departmental needs, company requirements, and external regulations? And diving even more into that, it's important to understand what regulatory and compliance laws dictate how data is used at your company. So, are you upheld to things like HIPAA or PCI DSS? And once you know what data you're using, where it's going, and why you want to use it, IronStream can then be used to create a connection between your IBM and these SIEM AI ops platforms. Now that we've shared some background and best practices for IronStream, let's see how you can actually build a connection between your IBM systems and a platform like Splunk, Elastic, or Kafka.
Thanks, Brittany. So today I'm going to talk to you about how IronStream can enable you to gain deeper insights from the AI tools that you use in different data analytics platforms. Because most of these platforms don't natively have a way to connect to mainframe and IBMI systems. And these systems are often responsible for many of the business critical applications or processes that exist. So, by being able to get this data into these AI tools, you're able to feed the AI with content rich uh, data. And that AI uses data from many different systems, be it in the cloud, on-prem. And so being able to understand how different services and applications pass through these different systems, AI can give you deep insights into what's happening, but it needs that data. And so what IronStream does is not only does it allow you to make connections between the mainframe and IBMI and these data analytics platforms, but it also allows you to get just the data there that's needed. And so um, here we can see a connection between mainframe and Splunk. So this mainframe source box here in blue allows multiple mainframe LPARs to connect and send data, and that could be performance data, it could be security, or even event data for alerting, and it's able to pass it through to Splunk or the target that you choose. And so we have many supported target platforms, and we're adding these platforms all the time. But what IronStream is doing is it's ensuring that the complex data formats on mainframe and I are translated, and so the data gets sent into these platforms in a format the platform expects and can use. That way, these AI tools can make connections between and understand correlations between mainframe data and data from your other systems. So if there's a slowdown in a process, AI can perhaps automate the process of telling you, well, at the same time, there was a CPU spike on the mainframe. and this process passes to the mainframe before sending data back out. So you understand more quickly where something has occurred so that you can speed up the time to remediation, um, and reduce downtime significantly. So that's a very simple pipeline. I'm going to jump over to one that's a little bit more complex. This is an IBMI pipeline, but here we have multiple source LPARs feeding data to multiple target platforms. So here we have multiple green boxes. And for some of these target platforms, we only want to get certain information there. So I have filters as part of this pipeline. So I can see I only want to get security information to Logstash to get into an Elastic instance. And then I want to get performance information in Grafana so that I can analyze that information there. And Datadog and Splunk, I want to send everything to. And I send everything to Datadog because Datadog has AI tools to detect anomalies. And for Splunk, I want to analyze security data. I want to see how users are behaving and do that. Use AI to do user behavior analysis to say, you know, this is what a user's doing, how privileges are changing, and then what objects is that user interacting with. So not only like if there is an incident, will I detect it as soon as possible, but also can quickly understand what happened there because AI is providing that information. And the last area that I want to talk about is alerting, getting events from the system log on the mainframe or system operator queue on IBMI and getting that information into platforms like Big Panda or ServiceNow. And by getting that data into those tools, I can here we have a pipeline that's sending job start, stop, and abend information into Big Panda. And Big Panda has a lot of AI capability to correlate alerts and give you that understanding of what's happening in your systems and group them together so it's not just a bunch of noise, but you're able to see and make determinations quickly based on what's happening in those systems. And with ServiceNow, you have the ability to create workflows that automate remediation, but it can take time to understand where you need workflows because of repeated activities. And so AI capabilities, not only are they going to correlate your alerts, but they're going to help you understand where you can put in workflows and automate the process of remediation to help take care of things as fast as possible and reduce the time it takes for manually entering in information or manually taking steps that you could already know will need to be taken. So um, that's how Iron Stream can help. It feeds these platforms with data, so you can view the data historically, and you can use AI tools to make predictions of what you can do to make sure that your system stays up, reduce downtime, and allow you to react as quickly as possible when something does happen. So with that, I'm going to pass back to Brittany because I believe we have a few questions.
All right, thank you so much for that demo, Andrew. And now we're actually going to be moving on to the Q&A portion. So, Andrew, I have a couple questions for you. First one here is, how does IronStream help reduce risk from a compliance standpoint?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a lot of regulations out there that have to be met as far as what data you're keeping track of and where customer data is. When you got SOX, NYDFS, DORA, all of these things, and a lot of the requirement is that you're tracking what data and where it is. So being able to um, connect your mainframe and IBMI systems into these different platforms allows you to not only have the data in a centralized platform for all your different systems, but also kind of allows you to track historically what's available there. And a lot of the regulations also are starting to require that the data is being captured in an automated process, and IronStream does just that. It automates the process of getting that data and getting it into the platforms that you use.
Awesome. Okay. It looks like our next question is about setting up IronStream. So is it particularly hard to set it up? And will they need to make changes on the mainframe if a customer was to implement it in their environment?
So setting up IronStream is easy. We do most of the configuration within the hub. So that's to make it easy. You kind of can configure the pipelines there and making those connections. As for the agent on the mainframe, it's pretty simple setup. You have started task for the data types you're trying to collect, and you configure what you want to collect there on the LPAR, and then start up the started tasks, and from there it's all in the hub as far as where you want to point your data. So there's not a lot of interaction after initial setup.
Great. And then moving on to our next question. So, can IronStream send the same data to multiple targets? For example, if someone wanted to send to Splunk, Elastic, Kafka, Datadog, Dynatrace, sources like that.
Yeah, so as I showed the demo, there are many different targets that IronStream supports sending data to today, and you can send the same data to multiple targets. You can send only certain data to one target and different data to another target, all within the same pipeline. So with IronStream, there's a lot of ability to configure where you send the data and how it gets there.
Okay. Um, and it looks like we have a couple more questions here. Our next one is somebody saying that they actually outsource to their mainframe to a provider in Sono or Kyndryl. Why would they still need something like IronStream?
So we speak with a lot of businesses that do this, that have their mainframe or um, running in the cloud or hosted, and the the reason that the biggest reason or way IronStream can help in those situations is if something happens on one of those systems, or if one of your processes goes down or slowed down, and you want information on that, you often have to submit a support ticket to the company hosting your systems and wait for that information to come back. And so there's a delay there. When with IronStream, you're able to get that information about how the system you're using is performing in real time. And so it significantly cuts down on the time it takes to kind of understand where an incident's occurring and resolve it.
Okay, that makes sense. And it looks like we have one more question here for you, Andrew. What's the ROI if we invest in IronStream now versus waiting another year to invest in it?
Um, I mean, that's the ROI is going to be different for every company, but it really depends on what the cost of an outage is for you, or a failed audit. With IronStream, you're able to reduce downtime. You're able to ensure that you are collecting the security data that you need to collect in order to meet um, the regulations and standards that we were discussing before. So, um, IronStream provides a lot of value in just being able to cut out downtime and reduce downtime. So that ROI, yeah, again, is going to be different for every company, but the sooner you start getting this data from mainframe and IBMI systems into these analytics platforms, the sooner you're going to start seeing a benefit there, because truly so much of the core workloads happen on these systems. You really need to be tracking how they're performing, um, and keep making sure that you're monitoring who's on there and what they're doing.
Sure. And it sounds like you probably want to start doing that sooner rather than later. Um,
Absolutely.
And I think that that's all the questions we have for Q&A now. I wanted to take a second to just thank everybody for joining. If you do want to go deeper with our team and reach out for a personalized demo, you can contact us at precisely.com/contact. We also have a lot of demos, white papers, and case studies that you can look at if you're interested in digging more into this topic. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.